This is Bow Tie Tuesday. I hope everyone is doing well this evening and that you can hear me. I see Lily waving at me and Tyrone giving me the thumbs up. I see my mother-in-law. She's joining us. Saw a picture of her earlier with her bow tie. I see people coming on tonight. We thank everyone for being with us tonight for this Bow Tie Tuesday. And we have two guests tonight that we're going to be talking to, two performers. One is Shaveh, a spoken word artist, and she's going to be here with us tonight. And then Anthony Brockett's going to be with us as well. Anthony is a rapper and a music producer and a man of many talents, and so we're glad to have both of them with us tonight, and glad to have you with us tonight as well. And I'm really glad to have my wife with me tonight because she's going to help me navigate this Bow Tie Tuesday as a host. We have people still joining in, and so we're just going to give it another minute or two, and then we're going to get started. As I said, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're excited as a fund because we just launched a new contest, a performing arts contest for young people. That's one of the things we want to do with the fund, is that we want to give young people an opportunity to show their talents and their gifts and their abilities. And so we have a contest for young people ages 10 to 15. We just launched the contest on Saturday, and those who are interested can sign up and send in whatever video they want for their performance. Singing, dancing, instrumentals, acting, obviously reciting poetry and spoken word. And there will be cash prizes for the winners, 10 to 15, and we broke it up into two age groups, 10 to 12, and then 13 to 15. And there will be 3 cash prizes in each one of those divisions. And so we're looking forward to that. And the deadline is November 28th. November 28th. And so if you know a young person out there that has talent, we want to see them. We want to see their talent, give them an opportunity to shine, and also an opportunity to earn some money before the holiday. Now, my wife told me how to do this. I'm not sure exactly. I think I have to hit this little button or two to get our first guest on. But we're going to do that in a minute. And, we want to get started. And again, our first guest tonight is a very talented young lady named Shaveh. And I want to have her join us. She is a poet, spoken word artist. She is an author. She has written a book of poetry, and we're going to talk about that tonight. But she's just an inspiring young lady, a very talented young lady, and we're looking to have her come on tonight and just to share with us. And so I think my wife is going to help me here. Just have to hit this little button here.
Yes.
She's telling me that. Right there?
Yes.
All right. See, this is why I had to marry her, because if I wasn't married to this woman, I couldn't do these types of things. But there she is.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, Shaveh. How are you?
I'm good. I'm pretty good. Can't complain at all.
Good. I'm glad to have you. Welcome to Bow Tie Tuesday.
Yes.
The Joseph M. Fennell Memorial Fund. This is something we started recently, and glad to have you on. Glad to see you.
Yes, I know it's been a while. Good to see you too. I know we're in the COVID climate, but it's good to see some faces. So
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And we first met through the fund earlier this year.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was so long ago, given everything that's happened, right?
Yeah.
But we met earlier this year because you were one of our featured guests at the first Joe's Gospel Cafe,
Yeah.
and we really enjoyed having you there. And it was it's really it was great to have you then. It's great to have you now. But I'm glad that you're here to share with us. We want to just talk a little bit about some of the great things that you're doing.
Yeah.
As you know, we like to inspire young people, especially in the performing arts. And so we wanted to have someone on like yourself to maybe offer that inspiration through your personal experiences. So
Absolutely.
um, why don't we do this? Why don't we start by you sharing with those who are tuning in, just give them a little bit of background about who is Shaveh.
Yeah. Well, I'm a spoken word artist. I've been performing poetry since the age of 13. I discovered my gift and my talents and my abilities very young. I performed throughout high school and college. But now at this point, I'm really just inspired to incorporate the gospel into my work. I'm extremely intentional about that, to encourage people by sharing personal stories, by sharing my faith and being transparent. I think that's so important, especially being a believer. I think sometimes transparency is missing sometimes in the body of Christ. And so I like to just share my stories and hope that people can see the God within my work. And I hope that it just encourage people to be themselves, to be what God has called them to be. And it's a journey. It's a journey every day. But that's my passion. So
Now, you said you started at 13.
yeah.
Did you start performing poetry, or did you get into performing
Yeah.
through some other channel?
Yeah, no, performing poetry. Like I remember, I think I was like in eighth grade, and I was on the stage. Like we would have poetry slams at my middle school, high school. I just remember like even me having that ability to deliver with confidence. It was just always within me. It's nothing that, I necessarily practiced, but it was just this fire I had. And ever since, I mean, I haven't looked back. I haven't always been dedicated to it. I think um, sometimes it's hard to see the value in your gift depending on what it is. It's like I didn't see too many people, pursuing their career like in spoken word and poetry. So I didn't always think it was as valuable. But as I got older, I was able to see like, no, I can say something in my work that can change the trajectory of someone's life or to inspire someone. And that's something you should never take for granted. You should never overlook the power of words and having the ability to say something, and it can help transform someone's like heart. Like you can say something, And so as I've gotten older, I've learned to really just appreciate what I have and understand that there is an audience out there for me. There may be a group of people that only I can reach. There's a group of people that
Mhm.
only you can reach, or whatever your craft is. And so when you learn to appreciate that, you can really unlock a world that you didn't know exists. So that's how I feel about it now.
And when you started at 13,
Yeah.
at what point do you believe you got to where you said, I'm going to be serious about this? Where, you may have that gift and the talent, but you also have to put some work in, don't you? I mean, you have to work on your craft, right? And so at what point did you say, you know what, I need to get serious about this because I do enjoy it. I do have a gift,
Yeah.
but there's some work involved, isn't it?
That's so true. So true. I want to say maybe perhaps 3 years ago. And sometimes when you're naturally good at something, you necessarily may not take the time to master your craft, And I think perhaps maybe 3 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend time studying spoken word because it's an art. You have to study other poets, study, performance, delivery, the writing component of spoken word. So I think about 3 years ago, I'm like, okay, I really want to take this serious. The thing with me is I haven't always been consistent with spoken word. I will pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it. But as of these past 2 years, I can honestly say I've been consistent and studying and reading more. That's another thing. I wasn't reading that much. Like growing up, I wasn't a kid that really loved reading. Like I read, but it wasn't like, oh, like give me a book. But now I know, like, learning language, learning how to master language on the page, or even from a performing artist aspect, like all of it is important. So now I'm like a nerd for just reading and studying the art. And so, but you have to be consistent. That's one thing. Like this, my goal now is not necessarily to like be famous, but I want to master my craft, my gift. And I think I was watching something yesterday, and Bishop T.D. Jakes, he said his goal was never to be famous. His goal was to be effective. And I was like, you know what? That's so beautiful. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to be effective, because once you do that, then you'll be able to reach people. You know, it's not necessarily having that desire to be famous, but being effective. You have to master, you have to study. And so that's just kind of my mindset now.
Yeah. And, you know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you, right? So,
yeah, that's right.
right, you don't even have to go out there and so much try to make room for yourself. If you're truly your gift, right, which includes, as you're saying, doing the studying, being serious about your craft, then your gift will make room for you.
Yeah.
And God will bring you to the right places where you can have that effect that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, what about, you know, again, we are interested in really encouraging that next generation, you know, the young people to fulfill their potential.
Right.
And so as a spoken word artist or a performer, you know, many times, you know, you can have someone that you idolize, someone that you respect and admire. But it's yet important to find your own voice, isn't it? I mean, to be authentic, right? It's nice to be inspired by people, but what would you say to someone about finding yourself and being true to yourself, and how important that might be?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like to think if you try too hard to be like someone else, you'll miss the blessing and within just being yourself. I think first, identifying you're gifted, you're talented, you have something special. Second, you have to build confidence within that, because you can identify what you have, but if you don't build that confidence, like, hey, I can do this, then you'll never reach your full potential. So I'll say that. I'll also say find a mentor. Find someone that believes in you, that can help cultivate what's inside of you, because you can't do it alone. You know, you'll need someone, a mentor, to help you. And just building that village of other people that not only believe in you, but that's going to support you. Because sometimes people believing in you isn't always, you know, going on your page and liking everything. It's the people behind closed doors when you feel like giving up. They're telling you, keep going, keep pushing. So you definitely need a village, a tribe of people that love to do what you do, that maybe like to do poetry or whatever it may be. And I think when you have all of those components, you're able to enjoy the process. You're able to have fun, you know, while doing whatever you're doing. Because that's the most important part. Like, enjoy the process, enjoy learning how to write better, enjoy study, like all of it. You should have fun. So, you know, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Understand that it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. But once you enjoy the process of becoming whoever you're supposed to be within your craft, I think you will just love it. You'll become better, like over time, of course. So
Yeah, yeah. And you say a lot of good things there. And I think, you know, including that in some ways, right, you have to embrace yourself. You know, not everybody's going to like you, you know, and we live in this society, right, where you want people to like your page and to like your post and to like you, like you, like you. But everybody's not going to get you, you know, but you have to be true to yourself. And if you do that, I think then you'll be more effective in sharing your gift, right?
exactly.
Now, where do you find inspiration for your writing? Is it, you know, is it in everyday things? Is there something in particular that really draws you? Where do you find inspiration?
That's a good question. I think self-awareness and being aware. I'm extremely aware of my surroundings, of my feelings. I don't suppress, I don't neglect how I
Mm,
feel. When I feel something, I want to write about it, you know, whether it's good or bad, then, you know, discernment and wisdom will kick in later. It's like, all right, you were in your feelings. Don't put that out. But also just being sensitive to other people's feelings. But it all starts within, like my inspiration. My environment inspires me. That's why I like to, be in an upbeat surrounding, because I love coffee, so I drink coffee a lot. I can go to, a coffee shop and I can see something, or the aesthetics of the coffee shop or something. In writing, I like to focus on imagery. And so because of that, I like to be aware. For example, I was walking down the street. I like to do like a walk every day with COVID since I work remotely. And I was just watching the leaves like dance in the street. They were dancing, and I was just like, this is so beautiful, and I know it's so like, oh, it's so poetic, but paying attention to things like that, it enhances my writing, because when you write, you don't want, it's like, okay, the leaves it's fall. When you think about the fall, the trees are dying technically, right? The leaves, but it's so beautiful. And I can find the beauty within that. And it helps my writing. Like, even if you just think of like death being beautiful in the fall, like it's the fall, the trees are dying, but it's beautiful. The leaves are falling, but they're dancing in the wind. They're dancing in the street, like things like that. And I just keep going and going. So I think everything, it really inspires me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about your book.
Yes.
I have your book
Oh,
here.
yes. Yep.
Water the Flowers in Your Hair.
Yeah.
A book of poetry.
Yeah.
And I'll say first, I read your book.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
read it. My wife left it out for me,
Yeah.
and I read it. And there's so many things here. You write about so many things. You write about your, struggles with men and family and searching for God, finding God, struggles within yourself. You write about so many things.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would have to say as I was reading through your book, and this may not make sense, but it makes sense to me.
Okay, that's fine.
And that is, it seems to me that you both love and respect words, right? That you're not careless with your word choice or how you place your words in your sentences. It seems like you really recognize that they're both fragile and powerful at the same time, and so you treat them carefully. And you have a gift. And the gift that I was really appreciative of is your ability to use a very few words to say a lot. What inspired you to put this, to put this together, water the flowers in your hair?
Yeah. So this book really is a reflection of different phases in my life. Like, honestly, I've always wanted to put out a poetry book, a collection of work. And in the past, just overthinking things, it's like now we have access to do so much. It's like, why not do it? But more than anything, looking at this book, for me, I'm looking at it. That's why I'm looking down. Like, I'm looking at this book as I speak. But
Right.
when I think about the book, it really represents a time in my life where I was confused. I was dealing with my issues with men, healing at the same time, and also finding God in the midst of that. And I want people to know, like, you don't have to have it all together when you come to God. God wants your heart first. And so I thought, initially when I put the book together, I'm like, all right, God, this may be too transparent. I may, need to clean this up a little bit. But God is like, if only you knew how many other people are exactly where you are and they think they are too far from me they don't understand that I'm willing to take them where they are right now. And so many people, like I mentioned, I think that transparency is missing the body of Christ. Sometimes we just have this persona of everything is all together, but a lot of people are broken. And you can look like you got it all together on the outside, but your heart can be so far away from God. And so this book, it's a journey, Initially, when you read it, you can tell like I really wasn't connected with God at first. But by the end of the book, I figured it out. And that's the same thing with your walk with Christ. You may not have it all together initially. You probably never will have it all together. But having the heart posture of, obedience. God, I want to serve you. I want to figure it out. And, God gave me the permission for me to be transparent and be real and share my stories. And so I just went for it. And, I don't know how the next book will look, but I want to continue just to share stories and letting people know, like, I wasn't perfect either. It takes time to get here, and I still have a long way to go. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the honesty in which you're speaking
Yeah.
and that you wrote about is apparent here. As you said, it's even the way it's structured. It's structured as a journey. Sort of. It starts off with a lot of the struggles that you talk about, but then I was really taken by when you got to the point talking about like family. Especially your grandma and did you call him Paw? Is that
Yeah,
right? Your
Papa.
grandpa,
Yeah, Papa.
right? And one of the what really captured me was the one that's called Love Endures, where you say grandma is fading and there's nothing we can do about it. And then you go on and just really paint such a powerful picture
Yeah.
of where your grandma was at that point and what you were observing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's a journey in itself. And so again, it's called Water the Flowers in Your Hair. And so I encourage, how can someone get this if they wanted to get their hands on it?
Absolutely. You can get it on Amazon if you like. You can get it on my website. The link is in my bio. All of the links are in my bio, Amazon or my website. So, yes.
Okay. Yeah, but it's really, it was really an enjoyable read. And I have to go back and read it again because I just wanted to make sure I read it before
Thank
we
you for reading
spoke.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, because, first of all, I like to read and I enjoyed you when you were at the Gospel Cafe. And so I knew it would be some powerful stuff in here. And so I encourage those who are listening to get this. Water the flowers in your hair. I'm going to show it one more time
Yes,
so
please
you
do.
can recognize it. All
Yes.
right, Water the Flowers in Your Hair is a book of poetry, and it's something I would encourage everyone to get. Um, Speaking of encouraging, again, we're talking like trying to inspire young people. As you come and you speak to us, you seem to have it not all together because none of us do, right? But you seem to have it together. But as a performer, are there ever times when you don't have it together, like when you're going out there and you're a bit nervous or whatever? And if so, how do you overcome that? Because I would imagine a lot of young people might struggle with a little hesitancy and nervousness. They have the gift, but they might not be willing to get out of the boat, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So there have been times, especially in college, I'll never forget. I got on the stage and I was trying to do my poem, but I could not remember the words. I literally had to get off the stage, go get my phone, and go back because I told myself, I'm going to do this poem. I can't remember it, but I'm going to do this poem. So understand you're going to have those embarrassing moments. Everybody has them. Every great performer, you just got to overcome them. But at this point, just how I practice my poems and when I'm on the stage, you have that moment where it's like sometimes the poem so well, your mind goes somewhere else, but your body knows the poem. Your mouth knows the poem. So even if your mind goes somewhere else, your body knows what to say next. So you get to that point where your body just knows your work so well that you're able to do it. And honestly, there's been times that I forget and I'll just take a dramatic pause. I mean, there's so many things you do, to try to get it back together. But just understand you're going to have bad performances, but you cannot stop. You have to keep going. You have to keep practicing. I'll never forget, even back in school, I used to do oratorical contests. And the way I practiced for that, I end up getting first place, but I'll never forget my preparation for it. The way I prepared for that, I apply that to all of my performances. Like, keep practicing. You mess up, you keep going, but that one doesn't count. So I got to do it again for it to count and do it right, and just have that discipline with your art, just like anything else. And I promise you, like, over time, again, you'll be able to master your performance and be confident on the stage. So, yes.
And being on the stage, I remember Joseph writing once that when he was performing, that for those few minutes that he was on stage, he felt like that is where he was supposed to be, that he was made for that.
Mm,
Do you experience that kind of feeling in your performing or in your writing that you know this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
yes, absolutely. I think that feeling keeps me performing and writing, because I'm very like reserved. I'm not really like super outspoken in my personal life, but everyone knows that when Anira gets on the stage, she's Shaveh. I really, because like I know this is what I was created to do this. Like this is a part of the purpose in my life. I'm not saying poetry is the ultimate purpose in my life, but I know it's associated with it. They're related or something. So when I'm on the stage, it's like that moment is so much greater than me. And so, yes, it's like I belong here. And even though I'm a little quiet sometimes off the stage, but on the stage, it's like I'm in my zone. So, yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And if there were one or two or more pointers that you would have for a young person who's aspiring, whether
Yes.
it's poetry, spoken word, dancing, or any other performing arts, what would be some of the things that you would share with him or her?
Yeah. I would definitely say, especially in the social media world that we live in, understand, and we kind of mentioned this earlier, that you are special. The reason why you were created is because something did not exist in the earth and God created you. So
Mm,
understand, like, you have to be yourself. Don't get so caught up trying to emulate other people's success. I do it sometimes too, but I have to realize I'm different. My background, my upbringing, the reason why I write the way I write, it's because I have a different story. So that applies to whoever is listening. That's an aspiring artist. Just know that you're special. You have to know that you're special. You have to build that confidence. Because like you said, everybody is not going to resonate with you. Everyone's not going to like you. But that is okay, because there's a whole world of people, a village, a tribe of people that you were created to connect with. And you have to be okay, because sometimes in social media, if it's not thousands, if it's not even hundreds of people, we get so discouraged and we want to quit and we don't want to do it anymore. But you know
mm,
what? You can't, we don't know how long this is going to last, this social media. Who knows, in 15, 20, 30 years, it may be something else, equivalent to Instagram. So it's like, just don't, and I have to tell myself this, don't get caught up in that. Just, I'm telling you, like you said, your gifts will make room for you. I have to tell myself that. So I'm speaking
mm.
to all of us
That's
in here,
right.
sis. But your gifts will make room for you. Just find the value in your work. You're special, you're worthy, you're enough. Um, Believe that. So that's what I would tell anybody out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before you go, my
Yes.
wife, who is also my producer and my boss and all of those things,
Yes.
she slipped me a little note and she said to if before letting you go, if you wanted to recite a poem for us,
Yes.
um, that we would give room for you to do that. And so if you wanted to do
Awesome.
that for our audience, because my wife knows what she's doing, um,
Yes.
we
Yes.
want
No
to give you an
problem.
opportunity to do that.
Yes. I'm gonna read something from the book, if that's okay, since I
That's
have
fine.
at hand. Um, okay. I'm gonna read What They Forget to Tell You. This is on page 39. Um, After the morning quietly disappears, and I'm lying in my bed on the edge of noon, pondering on maybes, what if and if only, until the sound of hunger interrupts my silence. Now I know it's time for me to get up and rise and try to put the intricate pieces of today together. I get up swiftly, stretch last night off of me, break into a quiet prayer asking God for clarity. Lord, nobody told me about this part. Some days will be gray as the color of tombstones. Living for God can feel lonesome, yet treacherous, climbing up a nameless mountain, bewildered by the crust of fear, clutching on to the little hope you own while reciting the prayers Mama taught you. You will feel alone. And when you do, I encourage you to bathe yourself in scripture, apply the richness of God's promises to your faith. I promise God hasn't forgotten about you. I know yesterday's uncertainty crept into the morning. Every day starts to feel the same in solitude. This is the bitter truth people are too embarrassed to talk about. What's the point of having God if you're too prideful to share how weak and incompetent you are without Him? Have you forgotten who you are without Him? Do you use Christianity to edify yourself and not the souls around you? God is looking for His chosen people to rise, humble themselves, seek His face, despite the heaviness of today's uncertainty, what they forget to tell you. So
All
that's
right. All right. Well,
awesome.
thank you for that, and thank you for being with us. And again, I just want to hold up one last time for someone who joined us late. It's called Water the Flowers in Your Hair, and
Yes.
the poems by Shaveh. Shaveh, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the time and coming on and being with us. It's good to see you again, good to talk with you again. And, you're a friend of the fund, and, we are supportive of you. And if
Yes,
there's anything we can do for you, let us know. And whatever you're doing, keep us abreast of it so that we can support you. Okay.
absolutely. I appreciate it so much. Okay. You guys have a good
Okay.
night. All
All
right.
right. You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, I enjoyed that. That is an awesome young lady. And again, I know I can't overdo this enough, but one more time, water the flowers in your hair. Can you see that above the words? Um, and so you can get that everywhere. So at this point, we have another guest, right? Um, and again, I need my wife to help me because I don't see that little red one that's at the bottom. That's what I have to do. Okay, Anthony, I was told to tell you to send me a request. And if your auntie tells you that, you better hop to it real fast. Um, but I hope you enjoyed Shaveh and what she had to share. Very talented, a lot of wisdom in her, a lot of, humility. And she is just really, she's just really awesome. And um, we thank God for having her tonight. And here we have our next guest, and he's awesome too.
How you doing?
This, I'm doing fine. This is my cousin, my uncle, and my nephew, Anthony. Anthony
I'm
Brown.
everything.
You can't be all that, right? But you are my nephew.
Right, right.
Uh,
Family.
that's right, family. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Bow tie Tuesday. We both
Yes.
looking pretty good, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. I
so,
like the bow tie.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad to have you on. We just had Shaveh on. I know you remember her from Joe's Gospel Cafe,
Yes,
and she
yes, yes.
performed. Um, and she was wonderful. And just talking about performing arts. You're a
Right.
performer. We want to talk about your talents and your gifts and the things that you've done and that you're doing. As we continue to try to, as inspire young people through, among other things, the contest that we currently have for
Yeah.
10 to 15-year-olds. But you're a man of many talents, Anthony. You're a rapper,
Yeah, I'm a
music
rapper.
music producer.
I produce music as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I say filmmaker. Is that right? I know you produce what would you say?
I would call it beginner's journalism, maybe.
Beginner's journalism?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm just getting my feet wet.
okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, what I would like to do, Anto, is to talk about, your experiences as a performer.
Okay.
How you got started, what inspired you to get started, and, just talk about various aspects of your journey. So, just tell us a little bit about how you got started as a performer.
As a performer, all right. Well, I started to write back when I was early teenage years. I, at that time, it wasn't much content. I was a child. I didn't really have many. I didn't find myself. I was still young. Didn't have much to talk about. At least, I didn't think so. But I started to take it seriously about 17 years old, 2009. I started recording around that time also. and just really trying to find myself, trying to find my voice, and trying to find out who I am as an artist, and what makes me me. You know, I had a name Skulli, but it didn't really mean anything at the time. It was just a nickname.
Mm.
Um, so I really had to find myself as an artist, find my way, and just create this artist version of me. But performing, I had my first performance at a talent show in my high school, my senior year. It was 2010, and I won't lie to you, Jeff. It went terrible. It went terrible. It was technical difficulties, and I had so many butterflies. Well, I rap with two other gentlemen. We have a group TNT, so that I performed alongside them during our first performance, and it went terrible. The mics were cutting in and out, and it just didn't make for a good first time, you know.
Right, right.
Um, and after that, you know, me and my compadres, me and my group, we went along, and we were doing music, and of course making our mixtapes. At the time, mixtapes were cool, so we were making our mixtapes and making our songs and stuff. And we actually had a manager. He got us a show at a. I'm from Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. There was a club on Utica, and he got us a show at a club on Utica. I remember it, right? And we were excited. We're young. We're 19, 18, 19 years old. We're young. We're not even, you know, supposed to be in the club, but we're in the club. We have a performance.
All right.
All right, you know, it's looking good tonight around a bunch of grown folks. Right, we're the youngest. So get up on the stage. We don't know anything about demographic, promo, marketing. We just talent. We didn't know anything about anything. We get up on the stage and we're performing our song, and it was a hip hop song, but it was a reggae crowd.
Mm.
Ah, Jeff, we got booed off that stage,
No.
man. we, we we got booed off that stage so hard, Jeff. That was around 2011, 2010, 2011, maybe 2011, I would say, like middle of 2011. And then you know, from there, just building confidence. You know how they call it, the Chitlin circuit around New York. There's like showcases, and there's open mics, and there's these like smaller events where we would go to these events weekly, and just build up our confidence and build up our stage presence, and just really try to get it down pat.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, you know, a couple of times, and you used the word confidence,
yeah.
and you told two stories, right? One in school where it
Hmm.
didn't go so well, and now the thing on Utica, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It didn't go so well, and so, but that's part of the journey, isn't it? Though, right?
absolutely.
Overcoming challenges, things don't always go in a straight line, right? But and you kept saying, but you got to build up your confidence, and
Yes.
so. How important is that, the confidence aspect of being a performer?
Confidence is everything as a performer. You know, the same confidence, well, for me, the same confidence that I put into the words that I write, you know, as I'm older, I realize, but the same confidence I put into the words that I write, is the same confidence I have to exude when I perform it, right? I have to give life to these words, and I have to make people believe what I'm saying, you know, because you could get caught up as a musician. You could get caught up with people listening to you, and you can have a certain energy. Even, you know, in the studio and you're recording, you have to put on a certain energy, whatever
Mm,
energy you want to convey. You know, it doesn't have to be like a hyper excited energy. If it's a sad samba song or whatever the mood may be, you have to be able to convey those emotions so that people could really understand exactly what it is and feel exactly what you're saying, and you're painting a picture. You want the people listening and watching to go on that journey with you. You know, so confidence is everything, Jeff.
mm, yeah. And what about the work that you have to put in to continue to grow, right?
Mm,
You know, at some point you determined, or you knew or discovered that you had an interest and a passion and a talent
mm,
to do this.
yeah.
But what about, the grind, right, of working on your craft?
It's it's never ending. You know, I'm as a creative, I'm still working. You know, there's still there's still work to be done. You know, this yeah, for me, I'm never 100%, right? I'm always trying to be better than the last thing that I did. So that always keeps me motivated. Just listening back to stuff or reading back old things that I write, and just strictly as an artist, as a performer, yeah, just looking back at the things that I've done, and really, you know how NBA players or just any athletes, they watch the tape, and
Hmm.
you gotta look at yourself and see where you went wrong, or how can you be better next time, and just really perfect the thing that you're doing. So for me, it's I sit down, I be humble, and I realize that I don't know it all, I don't have it all together, and I take my time and I just elevate and try to evolve.
But that's okay though, isn't it? Right? That
Hmm.
you don't know everything, you don't have it all together. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
we can try to be perfectionists, right? That we
Hmm.
won't do anything until it's absolutely right, absolutely
Right.
perfect.
Hmm.
But that's really an illusion, right? Because we never have, I mean, like for example, I'm sure there are some things that you wrote
Hmm.
early in your writing career
Hmm.
where you just knew this was hot, right? You just
Oh, of
knew this was
course.
something. And you go back
Yeah.
and read it today and you go, I wrote that, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because it's so lame, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I
Hmm.
mean, but that's part of growing, but you never have it all down, right? And so at some
Right.
point you almost have to, the same way you're talking about dealing with, those events that didn't go quite right. At some
Hmm.
point, as you're trying to be your best, you still have to get a little bit comfortable with your shortcomings, don't you?
Right. And I'm sorry. Um, you do. You have to. I- It may take a while, right? For me, in the beginning, I just thought I had to have confidence in everything I did. So
Mm,
whether I was good, bad, indifferent, what I wore, I had to have confidence in whatever I did, you know. So I brought that into my writing, and I brought that into my music and into my performing, not really being critical of myself. And because of that confidence that I thought I was supposed to have, sometimes it kind of teetered the line of being arrogant and cockiness. So I wouldn't take criticism, you know.
mm,
So it's really important for you to really look at yourself and objectively look at yourself and pinpoint the things about your artistry, or whatever it may be, that all right, I can grow here, this works for me, let's fine tune this, you know.
mm,
You always have to remain a student, you know, to yourself, and at different points of your life, for me, you'll be a different artist, you'll have different content, you'll have different things to write about. So it's it's all stages, you know.
mm. Speaking of stages, I mean, so talk a little bit about getting into the music producing. Like, how did that evolve? Was that a natural evolution for you? Was it something you thought you always wanted to do, or something you discovered along the way?
It's funny. I started producing about 2 years after I started like taking rap seriously. Because in the group that I was in, we had a producer, but we lost contact with the producer. We kind of had a falling out, and we didn't have anyone. So to fill the void, you know, I took it up a little bit. I didn't really know much about it. I took it up and just playing around with loops and throwing loops here and there and sounds, and it was bad. I won't lie to you. It was bad in the beginning. I had no idea what I was doing. So I was, but it's the confidence thing, right? Because I was so in awe that I was able to do this thing. Right? I was so in awe that I was able to just put one, two, three together and call it a production. That I had confidence in my ability to just do that. So um, after a while, you know, just working on that, you know, just like most things, you perfect it and you get better with time. But yeah, I started because I had to fill a void. That's what
Mm,
really got me started. Yeah.
okay. And what about, I called it filmmaking. What did you call it again?
I
Beginning
call it
journalism?
beginner journalism. I'm getting my foot wet, my feet wet.
Yeah. But I mean, you're telling
Yeah,
stories, right? But you're telling
yeah.
stories, using, like snippets and, cuts of film and, just different ways.
Mhm.
Tell us about that. What sort of got you into that?
I've been editing videos for a while also. So it was almost a triple threat. I was writing rap slash rapping. I was
Hmm.
producing, and with the videos, once again, it was to fill a void for the group. We were a fully independent group, and at that time, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I took up video editing. Back in the early 2010s, somewhere around 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. But with phases, I find it important for people to have insight and information, um, and to not always look above for it. But the person next to you might have something that can be extremely useful to you. It started out as a documentary about the pandemic. The first episode was the pandemic, but then it evolved into phases of my personal life and me reaching out to people that reflect it. So like me being a new father, or me now getting into business, and or me I'm drawing a blank about the other episode, health and fitness, just reaching out to people that have insight, but not looking up and trying to get the big guys, but looking across to my friends and my peers and my family, and really bringing that network closer in. Like, yeah, of course, if those bigger people could do it, you could do it too. But if your cousin, brother, sister, nephew, niece, if they can do it, and you have direct contact with them, then of course you can do all of these things. So I just thought it was important to showcase, people and myself at times, this
Hmm.
insight. Hmm.
And so, are you still rapping?
I am not as consistently as I was before. At this point in my life, I write when I'm inspired. I yeah yeah. I think I'll leave that at a period. I write when I'm
Okay.
inspired.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. And so, what kind of things would you share with a younger person
Yeah.
who is maybe at the beginning stages of their journey, right? Maybe they're starting to discover their talent, think they have the talent, maybe they haven't stepped out there yet. Maybe they haven't had a bad experience like you had when you started
Yeah.
out. But what kind of things, what kind of words of wisdom would you offer to a young person, um, to tap into that potential and to bring it forth?
I would be honest and tell them that it is always going to be a rocky road.
Hmm.
It's not smooth sailing. It's not easy. People will critique you. Some you have good days, you'll have bad days, but as long as you have a solid foundation of who you are as an artist, and it may take time to figure that out. That's the journey, right? To figure out who we are as artists. But as long as you have a spark, as long as you have passion, as long as you feel it in your intuition and in your gut, the thing that you're doing, don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep the pen moving. If you dance, keep moving. If you produce music or movies, you know, um, keep having that vision. You know what I mean? Keep just yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And how important is a support network? Like, who is your support network, right? I mean, because you're out there, you're doing your thing, and like you said, you seem like you're all about protecting that confidence, but even
Mhm,
confident people need support networks, right? So,
yeah.
who is your support network?
Wow. I've gotten a lot of support from you guys, family. Um, I've gotten a lot of support from peers, from friends. Um, and validation when you perform, and the people validate you and they cheer you on. That's a big ego boost, to affect people that way. And so that'll keep you going. Also, that served as support for me.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Which is interesting, though, right? Because there's a flip side to that the cheers, right? And the
Yeah,
flip side to
yeah,
cheers is booze, right? And
yeah,
so it's like you have to take it in, but not so much in, right? So maybe with the cheers, you don't let it swell your head, but if you're not
yeah.
being received, you got to make sure you don't let that crush your spirit, right?
Right, right. You have to remain balanced, and you're not as good as they say you are, and you're not as bad as they say you are. You
Hmm.
have to find the middle.
Now, early on, you had talked about there was a time when you were making mixtapes. You said back then we were making mixtapes, right? So, um, how have things changed? Whether it's through technology, I mean, even in the pandemic now, right, where
Hmm.
people can't perform live or it's really curtailed, right? But not even dealing with the pandemic, just how has the game changed? You know what I mean? Since you
Hmm.
started performing.
Yeah, I've witnessed many evolutions, and me and my guys, I think we were a part of each phase, so to speak, of music. But when we started out, it was mixtapes and putting our pride down. Sometimes we would hand out CDs. Some people still do it, but we don't have CD players anymore. So that's one way that,
Right, right,
yeah, cars
right.
aren't coming with CD players and computers aren't coming with CD players.
Hmm.
So, it's kind of hard to, sell CDs. But that's what we were doing at one point, giving out our CDs and stuff. And the internet was the biggest factor, the biggest factor. So the mixtapes went from physical to a website like DatPiff, so to speak. And it was free mixtapes online. You just send out a link, they download it, they get it on their computer, they put it on their phone, they do whatever they want with it. And then you have services like SoundCloud that would emerge. And then we had streaming, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, and that's where it's at now. So,
Yeah. What about the competition, man? I mean, it seems to me that, just about everybody think they can rap, right? So like everybody
hmm,
think they can sing, but they can't.
yeah,
But it's a lot of competition out there, right? How do
yeah.
you kind of separate yourself from the crowd?
Honestly, Jeff, and I don't want to sound cliche, but I aim to be better than myself. I aim to be better than the person that I was last time I showed up.
Mm,
Because if I focus on man A or woman B or whoever, um, they may be my competition, but they might not even be thinking of me at all. So I'm creating this this illusion in my head that I'm competing with somebody who has no idea of who I am, right? And it's
right,
subjective, right? Because my worst could be the best that someone ever heard, and my best could be the worst that someone ever heard,
right.
and that's and I was it wasn't like that, of course. That I had to learn that over time and really understand that I have to be better than who I was in order to be the best that I can be, and then people will appreciate your artistry.
Hmm. For
Hmm.
you, and who's who's your favorite performer?
Performer. Ugh. Oh man, this is I'll give you a polarizing answer, but Kanye West, performer.
Okay, let's moving right along. Moving right along.
I know he got some
No, you let me down. You let me down.
but the man as an artist, he's oh man, he inspired a whole generation. So I
Yeah,
just got to give him
He
his
has.
credit while
right,
it's due.
right. No, I
Yeah,
hear that, but I mean,
yeah.
it goes back to your point. Look, I wouldn't know a Kanye West song if you dropped it on my head. You know what I mean? So, I just know the brother Strain, but
Yeah,
you know, but like you said though, you said earlier, not everybody's going to like everything that you do. And so like you said, I mean, some people if they say Drake, some people say, I heard someone say just yesterday, oh, he sings too much or something like that or whatever.
hmm.
And everybody can't like everyone, right?
Right, right.
And I think even for as we talk about the young people, that's the thing that we have to help them understand. because a lot of that is the result of maturity and growth, right? There's some
Yep.
things you understand now that you didn't
Hmm.
understand then, right?
Hmm.
And things that you really know now, you probably were faking it till you can make it when you were younger, right?
That was the thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my, I got a producer too, and um,
Okay.
no, it's your aunt.
Oh, oh,
She just
that's a
sent me a
good one.
note, tell me I got 5 minutes. And so
Yeah.
in the few minutes that we have, Anthony, I mean, you know, what's on tap for you? You got so many things going on. You know, you got the
Hmm.
music, you know, you have the producing, and you have
Hmm.
your beginning journalism, you know, in documentaries and things. So,
Yeah.
what's next for you? What are some of the things that's on your horizon, both short term, long term?
Well, short term, I think I'll intertwine it with long term, but to really produce more projects, I'm working with a few artists. So producing more projects, whether it's EPs or singles, and just growing as a producer. I've grown to be passionate about producing. You know, at first I wasn't, but I love it, and it's a different animal from being an artist. You know, like a writer or a rapper. I have to to minimize myself and humble myself because with that I need someone to give these beats to. I need someone to give this production to. So they have to be accepting and I have to be given. But short term, and I just working on my show, and within the show is it's all originally produced by me, the music. So just
Hmm.
intertwining my own music in my own show. So, but long term with the show, I would like to build just a production company, Skulli Production. So I'm a writer. I'm a producer. You call me a filmmaker. I'll take it. I'm a
That's
journalist
right.
right now, but I'll be Spike Lee in no
That's
time.
right.
So, right. So, and just having like a production company where I can house all of these things and I won't be this guy that does everything. I can compartmentalize and eventually I can hire people and eventually, you know, just start building a team and, you know, just really run my own production company. So that's the long term goal.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. I mean, and again, I mean, those are the type of things, and people need to hear that, you know, because you can be what you want to be, right? If you
Hmm.
know, again, that confidence that you talked about several times during our conversation, you know, and just going after it, right? Following that passion that you have for the
Yeah.
artistry that you have. And, you know, I think as you do that, you know, as you know, we have a bunch of, you have cousins and others
Yeah.
who are coming up behind you, right?
Yep.
And you just
Absolutely.
never know how you inspire those around you simply
Hmm.
by you going out there and being true to your talent, your ability, and not being afraid to make it happen.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
So, listen, man, it was good to have you on.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah, to talk a little bit about your talent. I mean, you talked about, you know, with phases that you don't have to
Hmm.
go up high. You can just reach out to the side and you can have
Yep.
people who can really share some wisdom with you. And I think
Hmm.
it's the same thing with talent. I mean, it's great to see the talent that we have in the family.
Right.
You know, you with music and we have others who do things on, you know, the
Hmm.
computer and all kinds of things. But there's talent
Right.
all around us. And so it's good
Hmm.
to have you on
I
to
appreciate
come and
that.
share your story and hopefully that inspires someone else. So keep doing what you're
Hopefully,
doing, man.
I will. I will. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, well, good to have you on, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, man. So thanks for coming on, man. Bow tie Tuesday, and you looking good,
Yes,
man.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
You too,
All
man. Have
right.
a good night.
All right. You too.
All right.
All right. Well, I think we have like 1 minute, my wife is telling me. So listen, we just want to thank you for coming and sharing with us Bow Tie Tuesday, as we just had an opportunity to speak with Shaveh and with Anthony Brockett, both very talented performers who have a great story, and we hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed bringing it to you, and we look forward to seeing you probably in another week or so, or maybe 2 weeks from now. We come back again with another Bow Tie Tuesday. Until then, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.